Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the main news on Camnet TV. My name is Sylvia Zulu. Here are the top stories making headlines in our news tonight. Court acquits Lubinda of corruptly possessing property charges. Civil society demand implementation of access to information law. Historian BIZECK PHIRI advises PF to hold a convention. In international news, EU to sanction Iran for retaliatory attack on Israel. And sports, KALABA'S condition steadily improving. I will be back with the details after this break.
Enjoy the benefits of an instant loan with us ranging from 1,000 kwacha to 750,000 kwacha paid express once collateral is viewed, valued and verified. Call us on 0763 595 359 or 0779 432 993. Classified Financial Express, here as your financial friend.
And now the news in detail. The Lusaka Magistrate Court has acquitted Opposition Patriotic Front Function Vice President Given Lubinda of all 4 charges of corruptly possessing properties. This was after the court determined that the state prosecutors failed to prove the matter. Passing judgment Thursday morning, Lusaka Magistrate Sanford Ngobola found that reasonable suspicion was not proven in all the 4 counts, as the accused provided explanations before the court that funds that were received through Mr. Lubinda's dollar account were not proceeds of crime but were in respect of a loan facility. In this matter, the PF function vice president was facing 4 counts of possessing properties reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime. Speaking after the judgment, Mporokoso Member of Parliament Brian Mundubile hopes the judgment sends an example of allegedly charging people without evidence.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court, room number 4, was Thursday morning filled with emotions as Opposition Patriotic Front Faction Vice President Given Lubinda awaited his fate on 4 counts of corruption-related charges. This was evidenced after the court acquitted Mr. Lubinda on 4 counts of possessing properties reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime through family members and friends who trooped to the court in a show of solidarity. Mr. Lubinda was accused that on March 3, 2018, received $50,000 from China Africa Cotton Limited and $100,000 from Qingdao Rinchong Cotton Industrial Company Limited, property suspected of being proceeds of crime. In the 3rd and 4th counts, allegations were that Mr. Lubinda on December 23, 2019, received $80,000 from Qingdao Rinchong Cotton Industrial Company Limited, property reasonably suspected of being a proceeds of crime, and on March 15, 2019, disposed of a sum of $50,000 to Sunshare Investment as part of payment towards the purchase of a property situated in Lusaka's Kingland City. During his defense, Mr. Lubinda denied all the allegations and termed them being malicious. However, in passing judgment, Lusaka Magistrate Sanford Ngobola found that reasonable suspicion was not proven in all 4 counts, as Mr. Lubinda provided explanations before the court that funds that were received through his dollar account were not proceeds of crime but were in respect to a loan facility. Magistrate Ngobola ruled that sufficient evidence was not presented in all 4 counts to make the suspicion reasonable. As such, the prosecution failed to discharge the burden of proving the ingredients of the offense charged for the balance of probabilities and found the then accused not guilty. The court also determined that the property Mr. Lubinda used to secure a loan facility by way of a third-party mortgage did not belong to Mr. Lubinda at the time the loan agreement was executed, as the property had been sold to Java Khalid and his wife but was mistakenly referenced on the loan agreement and later renumbered by the Lusaka City Council. Concerning the fourth count, the court determined that the funds used as part payment towards the purchase of a property in Kingsland City were part of the US dollar credit received in Mr. Lubinda's US dollar account from China African Cotton Limited and Quindaurun Chan Cotton Industrial Company Limited. As such, the funds were not proceeds of crime. After judgment, defense lawyer Makebi Zulu advised those taking up cases of corruption to take a leave from the outcome of this case.
The very fact that the matters are coming out now for purposes of verification and for purposes of persecution must put the judiciary at alert that they need to be very careful in assessing the evidence that is being brought before them and come up to a just conclusion that indeed the persons that are being accused falsely are not guilty.
And Patriotic Front officials present shared their sentiments too.
The reason now that many people would want to stay away from politics, many people would want to stay away from leadership, because they know that the moment they give an attempt at that, the end result is being victimized, the end result is being vilified, as it were.
We can only, like it has been said, encourage the judiciary to always remind themselves that they are conscious of this in nation. They are the sacred institution that will keep this country balanced and make sure that justice for every citizen is guaranteed.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Lawyers representing Matera Patriotic Front Member of Parliament Mao Sampa had requested the Constitutional Court to dismiss a matter in which the 9 PF members of Parliament have dragged him and his Secretary General Morgan Ngonga to court, seeking a declaration that he has no mandatory authority to expel them or any other members of the party. In this matter, the 9 lawmakers also cite Attorney General Mulilo Kabesha as a respondent in the matter and want an interim order allowing them and the party to operate freely, and for Mr. Sampa and Mr. Ngonga not to continue carrying themselves out as PF President and Secretary General respectively. The 9 MPs are Ronald Chitotela, Nixon Chilangwa, Musonda Mpakata, Christopher Kangombe, Remember Mutale, Brian Mundubile, Stephen Kampyongo, Mulenga Fube, and Mtota Kafwaya.
On 14th December 2023, 9 Opposition Patriotic Front members of Parliament who were allegedly expelled from the party by faction party President Mao Sampa sued Mr. Sampa and his Secretary General Morgan Ngonga and the Attorney General. The petitioners argued that Mr. Sampa's expulsion from the party in October cancelled his claim to the presidency, and therefore his appointment of Mr. Ngonga is now void. The 9 Patriotic Front members of Parliament are challenging the leadership of Mao Sampa as party president and Morgan Ngonga as Secretary General. The lawmakers also contended that Mr. Sampa and Mr. Ngonga's positions within the PF are unprocedural and irregular, but Thursday, Mao Sampa's lawyers requested the Constitutional Court to dismiss the matter on a point of law as submitting that there is no breach of the Zambian Constitution but the party constitution, which is not under the court's jurisdiction. The lawyers argued that Article 60, subsection 2 of the Constitution speaks to what political parties are mandated to do, and the PF as a party has in place a constitution that represents the spirit of Article 60, subsection 2 of the Constitution of Zambia. Mr. Sampa's lawyers further submitted that bringing the matter before the court is an attempt at forum shopping and abuse of the court process, as the matters placed before the Concourt are also placed before other courts prior to the commencement of the matter. The lawyers also submit that the 9 parliamentarians failed to show how the Zambian Constitution was violated but quoted Article 60, subsection 2, giving an impression that there are constitutional issues to determine when in fact not. However, the petitioner's lawyers, Jonas Zimba, insisted that the Constitutional Court has jurisdiction to hear the matter as it was a breach of the Zambian Constitution. Mr. Zimba argues that with the enactment of Article 2 of 2016, political parties became features of the Constitution as demonstrated by Articles 60, subsection 1 and 2, and indicated that particular allegations have been made in the petition, which includes the holding of an extraordinary plenary meeting of October 24, 2023, which was not in accordance with Article 60, subsection 2 of the Zambian Constitution, he submits that the Constitutional Court dismisses the preliminary issue raised by Mr. Sampa's lawyers as it lacked merit. This is after the matter came up for hearing of preliminary issues before Constitutional Court judges Margaret Nalula, Arnold Chilimi, Palan Mulonda, Annie Sitali, Mugeni Mulenga, Martin Msaluke, Matthew Chisunka, Jude Mulongoti, Madford Mwandenga, Maria Kawimbi, and Kenneth Mulife. The 9 MPs are Ronald Chitotela, Nixon Chilangwa, Musonda Mpakata, Christopher Kangombe, Remember Mtale, Brian Mundubele, Stephen Kampiongo, Mulenga Fube, and Mutoto Kafwaya. Constitutional Court Judge Margaret Munalula reserved ruling for June 27, 2024. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Meanwhile, University of Zambia UNZA-based historian Professor BIZECK PHIRI is saddened with the failure of the Patriotic Front (PF) to field candidates in all 9 May 2nd, 2024 ward by-elections. Speaking in an interview Thursday morning, Professor PHIRI attributed PF's non-participation in the upcoming by-elections to the wrangles in the former ruling party. He has advised all functions in PF to hold a convention and pick leaders that will be respected and recognized countrywide as legitimate leaders. He adds that it is important for Zambia's democracy for the former ruling party to remain united to enable it provide checks and balances to the current administration. Professor PHIRI explains that the status quo is not good for a maturing democracy as it leaves no strong political opposition in every democratic state.
The Electoral Commission of Zambia, in a notice released April 17th, have made it known to the general public the candidates that were validly nominated following the lodging in of nominations for the by-elections in 9 local government wards in 8 districts. The polls shall take place on Thursday, 2nd May 2024, between 06 hours and 18 hours. In all the 9 wards, it has been noted that there isn't a single candidate representing the Patriotic Front Party. This has raised eyebrows to how effective the party is currently if it is unable to participate in such elections. Camnet TV spoke to a historian, Professor BIZECK PHIRI, who explains that it is unfortunate that the former ruling party is losing its grip due to leadership wrangles happening in the party.
Failing to come up with a candidate for the nine by-elections at the constituency level for councillors. That is a very sad development. First and foremost, what is happening in the PF is something that is sad for a democratic country like Zambia. We expect that when a party loses elections, they should remain intact, coordinated, and united. But what we've seen in the Patriotic Front since they lost elections in 2021 is a lot of wrangling. Currently, you have factions claiming to be the PF.
Professor PHIRI says the PF must quickly hold a convention and select leaders who will be respected and recognized by all PF members and supporters across the country.
Round where the ordinary members of the PF are, because of these wrangles, they are not organized, so they are not united. They can't come up with the candidates to stand for these by-elections. That itself affects the standing of the PF as a political party, but also affects the overall operation of democracy in the country. You know, is to come back and sit down and elect leaders. What they need to do is go to a convention and elect leaders that are supported the countrywide at a convention. Say, now this is now our president. But right now, as PF stands, it's very difficult to say who is the president of PF.
Efforts to get a comment from the 2 PF factions proved futile by broadcast time. Cherish Siwote for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Access to Information Law Coalition has demanded for the agent operationalization of the law to enhance enjoyment of freedom of expression and access to information. ATI Coalition Chairperson Father Alex Muyebe, in a speech read on his behalf by Establishment Vice Chairperson Ges Nyarenda, said the enactment of the law marked a turning point moment for the country, but in its current form, the piece of legislation remains elusive as it cannot serve its purpose. Mr. Nyarenda says the government's failure to operationalize the ATI law through a statutory instrument, SI, represents a significant roadblock in the successful implementation, without which it belongs to the shelf. Meanwhile, Media Institute of Southern Africa, MISA Zambia Chairperson Lauren Chisanga has commended government's move to sign the ATI law, and that once enacted, it will enhance human rights enjoyment by citizens.
The more than 20 years of advocacy for the enactment of the Access to Information ATI bill into law came to an end on December 22, 2023. President Hakainde Hichilema, during his end-of-year press conference, assented to the bill making it law. This meant that citizens, journalists, as well as interested stakeholders who have more privilege to access information from public offices were never deemed fit. More than 4 months since ATI law came into being, its utilization remains elusive, prompting a group of civil society organizations under the umbrella of the Access to Information Coalition to sound the alarm.
The failure to operationalize the ATI law through a statutory instrument, SI, represents a significant roadblock in the path towards realizing its full potential. Without the necessary regulatory framework and operational mechanisms in place, the lofty ideals enshrined in this law remain elusive.
Speaking during a press conference Thursday morning in Lusaka, Mr. Nyarenda called on all stakeholders and citizens to stand up and demand the full implementation of the Access to Information law.
As the ATI Coalition, we have called this briefing to demand the operationalization of the Access to Information ATI law, and if this is not done, the potential of this law will not be realized. Now mobilize public support for effective implementation of the ATI law. We note that our efforts alone as a coalition cannot succeed in isolation.
Media Institute of Southern Africa MISA Zambia Chairperson Lauren Chisanga says the civil society movement remains grateful to government for enacting the ATI law and is hopeful that once implemented, it will further enhance media freedoms in the country.
This includes the JCTR and all members that ATI Coalition, not forgetting the media. Indeed, gratitude should also be made to the Minister of Information who, upon setting foot into the Ministry of Information, ensured that this law was enacted.
Meanwhile, commenting on the purported recent harassments of journalists by the police, MISA Zambia Executive Director Austin Kayanda says the institute continues to engage the police on the vice, further urging media practitioners to identify themselves with media jackets to avoid unwarranted harassment.
Very soon, we'll be doing a project under UNESCO with the police, where we are going to sensitize the police at a lower level on how they can relate with the media. Would like to encourage media houses to buy press jackets for you, so that you can be identified to say you don't belong to UKA. You don't belong to UKA. You are a professional person who is there just to report on what is happening.
Chanda Mwango for Camnet News in Lusaka.
former Minister of Defense Richwell Siamunene has urged the government to allow Zambians with capacity to invest in the mines to do so, as opposed to ceding control to foreign nationals. In an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Siamunene says mining, being one of the country's major forex earners, has the potential to spearhead development if utilized effectively through indigenous participation. He adds that the termination of 2,605 non-compliant mining and mining licenses of local miners is a sad development, as it will impede the country's economic development.
That have been cancelled. Most of them, those whose mining license have been cancelled, or they belong mostly from Zambians. I think the Zambian must be given an opportunity to own mining tenement, because the only surest way to improve this country, to grow our economy sustainably, is to allow the Zambians to be involved in major businesses, businesses that are profitable. Mining is a profitable business. Of course, it's capital intensive, but it's profitable once you find the minerals. So why can't we give an opportunity to say, okay, let's look at the Zambians. What is making those people fail? Is because maybe they don't have the funds, maybe they don't have what means. So the government must take it upon itself and say, look, these Zambians, we shall remain, the mine will remain in their hands. So what we can do right now is to invite those who have, we call those who have the capacity, and make a joint venture as opposed to cancel them.
The United Party for National Development, UPND, in Lusaka province has refuted claims suggesting the party-sponsored youths who assembled at the Constitutional Court on Wednesday. In an interview, UPND Lusaka Province Youth Chairman Addison Banda says youths have every right to be heard, including going to assemble at the court to express their views. Mr. Banda adds that those claiming that the UPND arranged the youth assembly at the Constitutional Court are politicking and not factual. He has since urged the Socialist Party to refrain from accusing the UPND and focus on the shortcomings in its party.
On Wednesday, April 17th, in the early hours of the day, just outside the High Court grounds, students from the University of Zambia and Evelyn Horn College had an altercation with some alleged Patriotic Front cadres. Police had to intervene to disperse both the students and the cadres. The episode led to the arrest of PF sympathizer Peter Kashala after he allegedly slapped a student in the fracas. The students were at the court grounds in solidarity as the Constitutional Court heard the petition in which the National Student Union leader is challenging former President Edgar Lungu's eligibility to contest in future elections. The presence of the youths at the court premises has been criticized by the opposition, who are alleging that the United Party for National Development, UPND, sponsored the students from the two institutions. But UPND Lusaka Province Youth Chairman Anderson Banda has refuted the allegations, saying that youths have a mind of their own and have every right to protest on matters affecting them. Mr. Anderson Banda tells this journalist that the party had no business in what was happening at the Constitutional Court and that those alleging so should provide evidence.
They are on their own in an organized manner so that they are also heard. Their voices could also be heard. Their opinions also could also be aired. They could also express their displeasure on whatever was happening at the court. So to me, those people who are saying, no, those youths were sponsored, they are just politicking. It's none of UPND's business. It was something to do with the citizens of this country. We are not sponsored by UPND, and UPND is not responsible for their movements, for their whatever they were doing. Is not to do with UPND as the party.
Mr. Banda has also urged the Socialist Party to refrain from attacking the UPND and concentrate on selling their party vision to the Zambians.
Also to state that and advise socialists that they should stop overrating themselves. We've observed for the past few weeks or days, socialists has been overrating themselves too much. They are far away from getting near to power, far away. So they should not overrate themselves, or else they'll continue blaming and accusing people for things that they have not done the way they are doing it. In organizing their political party, why are they getting interested in UPND affairs? Why accusing UPND all the time, whatever they fail to do? So socialists should stop getting excited. Socialists should never overrate themselves. They are far away from forming government. 50 years from now, maybe. And I think Umembe will not be there. So to me, the issue of socialists accusing UPND of sponsoring youth at the High Court is a malicious accusation.
Cherish Sivote for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Gaming Association of Zambia, GSZ, has welcomed the move by the Lusaka City Council to ban gaming machines, locally known as bonanza, from undesignated places, citing the detrimental effects on underage children. In an interview with Camnet News, GSZ Secretary General Darius Sinkamba noted that gambling is an activity meant for people who can make rational decisions in their capacity. Mr. Sinkamba, however, states that the pronouncement to completely ban the gambling industry is invalid, stressing the economic contributions that it has brought to the country are enormous. On the 15th of April 2024, the Lusaka City Council announced the ban of gaming machines, locally known as bonanza.
The general overview with the pronouncement made by Lusaka City Council, it being also a policymaker and institution, to ban the slot machines commonly known as the bonanza in undesignated areas, especially shops, places of worship, near hospitals, and any places that would be attracted by a person who is below the age of 18. That is a welcome move. But again, the call for the industry to be banned completely, that is not a welcome move, because the public should know that this industry has attracted a lot of economic activities, in the sense that other family members are surviving from it, and also government is also realizing some revenue from the same sector in terms of taxes.
A 35-year-old woman of Lusaka's Ord Kanyama has allegedly burned her biological daughter after she accused the 9-year-old of stealing money from the house. According to police spokesperson Ray Hamonga, Kanyama Police Station under the Victim Support Unit received the distressing report Wednesday evening concerning an assault on a female child aged 9 of Ord Kanyama compound. Mr. Hamonga says the victim told the unit that she sustained multiple burns all over her back and buttocks as a result of the assault inflicted using a cooking stick and brazier. He says the victim has been relocated to a safe home where she will receive the necessary support and care.
Kanyama Police Station under the Victim Support Unit received a distressing report yesterday, the 7th of April 2024 at 17 hours concerning an assault on a female juvenile aged 9 residing in Ord Kanyama compound of Lusaka. The victim briefly revealed to the victim support officers that she had been subjected to severe burns by her biological mother, aged 35, at their residence on the 12th of April 2024 around 16 hours in Kanyama compound. According to the victim's account, she sustained multiple burns all over her buttock and back as a result of the assault inflicted using a cooking stick and a brazier. The incident occurred following an accusation by the now suspect, who accused the victim of stealing money from the house. In response to the accusation, the suspect physically assaulted the victim with a cooking stick before attempting to further harm her by placing her hands on the burning brazier, In the struggle that ensued, the victim fell onto the brazier, resulting in severe burns. The gravity of the situation was exacerbated by the suspect's attempt to deceive police by falsely claiming that the victim had sustained injuries from a fall. However, further investigation and the victim's courageous disclosure, the truth came to light, leading to the arrest of the suspect for the offense of assault on a child. In response to ensuring the victim's safety and well-being, she has been relocated to a safe home where she will receive the necessary support and care.
We now take our first break. I will be back with more stories. Don't go away.
Are you looking for a reliable and efficient courier company with international standards? Then let UBZ Courier, your trusted partner in swift and secure deliveries, be your ultimate choice. Whether it's a small package or a hefty consignment, UBZ Courier handles it all, locally and internationally. Our modern call center ensures personalized attention for every client. For seamless deliveries within Zambia and beyond, trust UBZ Courier. Call us now on +260 763 062 680 or visit us at plot number 15 Mwapona Road, Woodlands, Lusaka, Zambia. UBZ Courier, a world-class brand that can be trusted.
Potatoes, the unsung heroes of flavor. From crispy chips to creamy mash, potatoes are the versatile superstars of your kitchen. Grown with love by our dedicated workforce drawn from around the community of Kalabana. Savenda Farm's commitment is to see to it that we have potatoes that are grown right, healthy, big and tasty. For that quick fix or big celebration or that meal that brings family together, top chefs rely on the Savenda potato to create culinary masterpieces. And for others, it's that icebreaker to a delightful conversation. So, embrace the magic of Savenda potatoes. They're not just a side dish, they're the heart and soul of your kitchen. Savenda, save nations, develop Africa.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
Thank you so much for staying with us. We now continue with more news. Mongo's Lewanika General Hospital female ward has received 20 blood pressure measuring machines and 110 blankets fight against a non-communicable disease from a named bank. Western Province Acting Medical Director Lavde Mwila has hailed the bank for the gesture, stating that it will go a long way to aid the facility's health care. Western Province Minister Kapelwa Bangweta was also on hand to receive the donation.
Statistics reveal that non-communicable diseases account for a significant portion of the disease burden in Zambia, with hypertension being one of the leading causes of morbidity and mortality. Mongo District in Western Province is exceptional in strengthening the fight against non-communicable diseases. The National Savings and Credit Bank, NATSEV, has today made a donation of 20 BP machines and 110 blankets to Lewanika General Hospital.
Blankets underscores our commitment to ensuring comfort and dignity for all patients, especially the vulnerable groups. We recognize the importance of creating a conducive and compassionate healthcare environment where every individual feels valued and respected. Through this donation, we aim to bring warmth and solace to patients during their stay at the hospital, offering them a sense of care and support during challenging times. We are hopeful that this little drop in the ocean, the little contribution we are making today, will empower healthcare professionals at Lewanika General Hospital to provide timely and effective interventions to those who are in need.
Western Province Minister Kapirwambangweta was the guest at this event.
So you're coming on board to give the hospital blankets, to give the hospital BP machine, will go a long way in ameliorating the situation in the hospital.
When receiving the donation, Western Province Acting Medical Director Lavdemwira says the items will go a long way in the provision of quality health services.
The people that we've been mandated to serve by the government of Zambia. So thank you so much for that gesture. The blankets that you've given us, we ensure that we care for the patients that we've been tasked to look after with warmth and dignity, and the BP machines that you've given us, guests of honor, they ensure that we have been given that the equipment that we need in monitoring our patients as they come to our facilities.
The community is happy with the donation, citing high cases of high blood pressure related conditions.
By donating some blankets and BP machines to our main hospital, which is Lewanika General Hospital, it's we really appreciate, because, as you know, these diseases of the heart, it will bring is something that kills fast.
The donated items are all valued at over 50,000 kwacha. Musebo Kabila, Camnet News in Mongo District of Western Province.
The Non-Governmental Gender Organizations Coordinating Council (NGOCC) has welcomed the call by the government for humanitarian aid to mitigate the impending human crisis that has been occasioned by the drought. NGOCC chairperson Grace Manyonga has urged the international and private sectors to urgently provide relief support to mitigate the effects of the drought. Ms. Manyonga says the humanitarian crisis negatively impacts mostly the vulnerable in society, which include women and children. As such, out of the 9.8 million Zambians that will be adversely affected will be the women and children in the 84 districts. She explains that women and children are more vulnerable in society owing to the gender divide, making them more prone to the effects of the drought, especially those in rural areas with the fewer capacities to adapt and diversify their livelihood. Ms. Manyonga has since praised the government for the measures being effected thus far to mitigate the impact on school feeding programs, protection of the integrity and well-being of children under 5, as well as pregnant and mothers. On Tuesday, President Hakainde Hichilema revealed that 9.8 million Zambians in 84 districts were affected by the drought, with the country urgently requiring 23.5 billion kwacha to avert the crisis. This is contained in a statement availed to Camnet News. SNV Netherlands Development Organization has held an engagement meeting with the Ministry of Agriculture and led farmers in preparation for the increased project in Solwezi district. SNV Field Coordinator Limweta Wanyai says the increased project will be implemented through the use of multi-sectorial involvement to ensure the upscale of the climate-smart agricultural technologies. Mr. Wanyei was speaking to National Agriculture Information Services in Solwezi District.
The whole importance of this kind of an interaction is them giving the feedback, in terms of the progress we've made so far. Them also coming out with different strategies in terms of what has worked best so far, and then also plan for the future or prospective future in terms of what we need to focus on, what we need to build much on, and at the same time also different linkages that has to do with the different stakeholders. We have different line ministries here, more especially agriculture, where we are looking at best collaboration opportunities with the Ministry of Agriculture at district level as well as at camp level, as we have invited those kind of stakeholders here. In terms of the value chain, as much as we are looking at climate smart agriculture practice, we have 3 value chains that we are focusing on. So these value chains include the horticulture value chain, where it's the integration of the agroforestry model that has to do with the integration of the vegetables and the fruits. And then we also have the livestock as a value chain, which focuses on integrating or increasing production within farmers who are into livestock production, things to do with the head health management, things to do with fodder production and management. And then we have the value chain also, which is oil and legume value chain that focuses on growing of these leguminous trees, leguminous crops. That just helps in terms of improving the soil structure, the soil fertility through nitrogen fixation, and also the value that is gotten from there has been one of the key factors why we consider such a value chain in terms of extracting of the oil from the crop, and also the cake that is the byproduct, where everything has to have value. And looking at how much of a cash crop and the money can generate to both the farmer and then the communities who are involved.
So those that have got the ability, start getting machinery that can add value to your crops. For instance, you have grown 18 hectares of maize, very successful. You don't need to sell all that maize. You can mill it on your farm and sell as a finished product. You will make more money.
We want SNV and government to be able to subsidize the horticulture sector. For instance, the fruit sector is a sector that government has not so much focused on, but it's a sector that is able to bring about foreign exchange. It's a sector that is able to bring about sustainability to the farmers.
We now take our last break. I will be back with the rest of the stories. Don't go away.
With this impending drought, it's time we look to alternatives of sustaining our crops. We as ISDP are promoting irrigation and water harvesting as the solution to challenges posed by climate change. Watch our 13-week series as we unfold the solutions for our crops. Catch us every Monday at 2040 hours, repeats every Tuesday at 1910.
In international news, the European Union says it will impose new sanctions on Iran following its retaliatory attack against Israel on Saturday night. The missile and drone attack followed Israel's bombing of Iran's embassy in Syria's capital, killing 8 people, including elite army officers. There was no casualties in Iran's attack. European Council President Charles Michel said overnight on Thursday the measures would serve as a clear signal to Iran. For this and other international stories, we monitored African news.
The European Union said it would impose new sanctions on Iran following its retaliatory attack on Israel. The missile and drone attacks followed Israel's bombing of Iran's embassy in Syria's capital.
We condemn this attack launched by Iran against Israel. We have decided to put in place sanctions against Iran. This is a clear signal that we want to send. And we also want to do everything to protect the civilians. Each civilian life matters. We call on the release without any conditions of all hostages. We call on a ceasefire, an immediate ceasefire, and we want the humanitarian access for the people in need in Gaza.
Israel has vowed to strike back at Iran despite Western calls for de-escalation, prompting a counter-warning from Tehran.
Niger is set to deliver 150 million litres of diesel to neighbouring Mali, after the two countries signed a partnership on Tuesday. The diesel is to be supplied to Mali's national energy company as the country struggles to consistently provide power to the nearly 11 million Malians with access to electricity, roughly half the population. Under the terms of the deal, Niger will sell the diesel at almost half the normal rate, according to Mali's Prime Minister Choguel Maïga. Nigerian authorities in November inaugurated a pipeline that will carry crude oil to Benin after being extracted by the Chinese state-owned China National Petroleum Corporation. In February, the country announced the signing of a memorandum of understanding to supply diesel to Mali and Burkina Faso, its two partners in the Alliance of Sahel states, as well as Chad. Niger intends to increase its oil production to 110,000 barrels per day, of which 90,000 barrels are to be exported. A new report has decried the widening inequality in sexual and reproductive health and rights worldwide. Published on Wednesday by the UN's Population Fund, the report estimates that nearly 800 maternal deaths occur daily.
The world made zero progress in saving women from preventable deaths in pregnancy and childbirth. 1 woman in 4 cannot make her own health care decisions. 1 woman in 4 cannot say no to sex. And nearly 1 in 10 are unable to make their own choices about whether or not to use contraception.
The report also said that an African woman is roughly 130 times more likely to die from pregnancy and childbirth complications than a woman in Europe or North America.
For the 1 billion people estimated to experience disability in their lifetime, for the 700 million people living in extreme poverty, for the 160 million women with an unmet need for contraception, and so many more. These inequalities should not be politicized. They should not be used as an accusation of bias, nor should they be points of division.
The UNFPA has called for new investment in sexual and reproductive health as well as improvements in sex education.
In sports news, former polo captain Renford Kalaba has continued to receive treatment at the University Teaching Hospital's adults. UTH Nzeba Chanda says his condition is steadily improving as he remains stable. In a statement, Ms. Chanda says medical professionals at the hospital are fully committed to ensuring that he receives the care that he deserves. She says the hospital will continue updating the nation on Kalaba's condition as the medical team remains positive. The former Copper Bullets and TP Mazembe striker was on Saturday, April 13th, involved in an accident which claimed the life of the driver. Juventus has ordered to pay Cristiano Ronaldo more than $10 million by an arbitration board following a salary dispute. The dispute regarded a move by Juventus players to defer part of their salaries during the coronavirus pandemic. The 9.8 million euros that Juventus was ordered to pay Ronaldo is half the amount that the 5-time Ballon d'Or winner had been seeking from the Turin club in back wages.
$10.5 million. That's the amount that Juventus has been ordered to pay Cristiano Ronaldo following the salary dispute. The monies ordered by the arbitration board is half the amount that the 5-time Ballon d'Or winner had been seeking from the Turin club in back wages. The dispute regarded a move by Juventus players to defer part of their salaries during the coronavirus pandemic. Juventus said in a statement late Wednesday that with support of its legal counsel, it is reviewing the decision made by the arbitration board, reserving all assessment and initiatives to preserve its rights. Ronaldo played for Juve from 2018 to 2021, helping the club to 2 Serie A titles.
That's it for our main news tonight. Before I go, here's a recap of the stories making headlines. Court acquits Lubinda of corruptly possessing property charges. Civil society demands implementation of access to information law. Historian BIZECK PHIRI advises PF to hold a convention. In international news, EU to sanction Iran for retaliatory attack on Israel. And in sports news, KALABA'S condition steadily improving. Our verse for the day is coming from the book of Ephesians 4, verse 2. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Sylvia Zulu. Good night.